An affluent businessman feigned poverty, and he was shocked to see how he was received by the public. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Pedro was strolling along the street by himself. The heat was scorching and he was perspiring profusely. His clothing were rags and his shoes were ancient. He had a huge beard and mustache, and his hair was a complete mess. Even the flies were trailing him, giving the impression that he hadn't taken a shower in days. He had on heavy black spectacles, not because he was inebriated, but rather because he felt weak and lightheaded. His stomach rumbled with hunger and he staggered from side to side. He soon discovered he was walking into a private community. The homes were opulent, and it was obvious that the occupants enjoyed great luxury. He turned to the first home he saw, a little uneasy. A young man in his automobile was pulling up at that very time. Pedro talked to him as he was getting out of his car and heading into his home. Pedro said, "Excuse me, sir?" Taking off his heavy spectacles, the guy asked Pedro, assessing him from head to toe, "What do you want, bum? Did you consume all of the alcohol?" He laughed heartily when he said this. Pedro responded, "Pardon me, sir," unfazed. "I apologize for disturbing you, but I haven't had any food in days. Maybe you might be so kind as to give me some cash so I can purchase a roll." With a severe expression on his face, the man remarked, "Look, son. Look, bum. Do you see this house? Is this automobile visible to you? Well, I didn't get them by handing out cash. To pay for these indulgences, I've even had to steal from my own employment. Awaken. Asking people for things in life is not going to help you achieve anything. I take what I want where I work, which is why I'm here in a suit and tie, driving a fancy car and living in a large house. I don't want to put in extra time volunteering, so leave this place now." As he entered his home after saying this, he once more let out that horrible laugh of mockery. Pedro was at a loss for words. He merely gave him a blank expression and carried on. In addition to being parched and dehydrated, the sun had damaged his skin. As he strolled on, he noticed a small child tending to her large garden and performing home tasks. "Excuse me, miss, could you give me a couple of coins or some food?" he said to her. "My last meal was days ago. I feel rather frail." With an angry tone, the girl remarked, "You must have been sent by God," as she continued to look at him. "You truly have the audacity to come to this neighborhood and make a meal request. Look, we are all members of high society living here. We work for one of the wealthiest business people in our nation, and we have worked hard to earn all you see. For instance, in order to persuade the business owner to virtually give me this house as a present, I had to spend the night with a supervisor. Leave this place now. You smell awful, like a dead dog." All Pedro could reply was, "Okay, miss, don't worry. Please pardon me," he said, moving forward. Pedro had trouble walking. He was overcome with hunger and thirst due to the scorching sun. His feet were burned, and he was starting to feel as though his vision was going worse. He continued to stroll, approaching homes to ask if anybody might provide him food, but each one of them responded in an inhumane and impolite manner. All of a sudden, night fell, and Pedro was still without luck. His body hurt all the way down to his bones, and there was nothing in his stomach. He soon came upon another lovely home with a big garden, and as he peered out the door, he noticed a man on his cell phone. The man was dressed in a suit and tie, and by the look of things, he was a prosperous businessman, or at least the richest of all the people Pedro had approached for help that day. Pedro stated in a trembling voice as he walked up to the man's home, Sir, please, I haven't eaten in days. Would you please offer me some food?" "But of course, sir," the man said to Pedro as he ended his phone conversation. "Assisting one another is the reason we are all in this earth. Give me a moment, please." He then went to his maid and said, "Violeta, bring the leftovers that the dogs left and give them to this homeless man." Pedro found it hard to believe. That man's brutality surpassed that of all the others who had refused to give him some food that day. Thus, he responded, "Sir, don't worry. I recognize. Don't worry about it. I'm going to head out." But when he looked at him, the man said, "Wow." I was taken aback. "Violeta, please stop bringing this man leftovers. Bring the caviar my boss brought back from his most recent trip to Vienna. which he handed me yesterday. I hope this ungrateful person enjoys it. As Violeta, the man's maid, watched the entire incident, she couldn't help but wonder, how can someone be so cruel to a homeless person? "We have some bread left over from lunch," she bravely told her supervisor, Mr. Leonardo. "If it's okay with you, I'll give them to the Lord so he may leave right now and stop bothering you." After observing the girl's kind act, Pedro responded, "Much obliged, miss. Your deed will reap many rewards." But at that very moment, the house's owner, Leonardo, lost all control of his temper and yelled at his worker, "How dare you? Violeta, get out of here. You and this dirty dude need to get out of here. I want both of you to leave this place." With her soul falling to the ground, Violeta begged her boss, "No, sir, please, I must have this job." Violeta was her children's only source of support as a single mother. However, the man didn't waver in his choice. "I told you to let the two of you leave," he said, "or I'll call the guards to kick you out of here." Pedro spoke quickly and said, "Sir, don't worry, I'm heading out right now. The woman doesn't need to be fired. She will still be fortunate, though." They were both ejected from his home by an enraged guy. Violeta was abandoned outside the property, sobbing. Her children would pay the price for her lack of employment. Pedro walked over to her and said, "Miss, please don't weep. You are far more valuable than anyone else in this neighborhood." Violeta, however, could not stop sobbing since she was unemployed. "It's not your fault, sir," she said. "Be at ease. Take these coins and use them to purchase food. I have to leave immediately. I'll start looking for a job tomorrow." Pedro was incredulous that the people who had everything had not wanted to give him a slice of bread, but this poor girl, who had lost her job as a result of him, was willing to aid him by giving him some pennies so he might have something to eat. I appreciate you seeing. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.